Do you feel the urge to move toward a more play-based practice and just don't know how to do it? Or maybe you're struggling to incorporate more child-led learning into your otherwise teacher-led program. The research is clear. Play is how children learn best during the early childhood years. But creating a classroom where play is the focus isn't always as straightforward as it may seem. I'm your host, Jen Zollinger. Join me as we explore the incredible ways that play serves preschool children and how to best implement it in your classroom. This is Play Before Pencils. I mentioned in a past episode that if parents have high expectations for academic learning in preschool, it's because we have allowed them to believe that that's what preschoolers need. Even worse than just allowing them to believe it, many early childhood educators have told parents that that's what they should expect for their child. I went online and looked at a few preschool programs in my area, and here are some of the statements that they use on their website to advertise the type of curriculums that they offer. The first one said, "We teach children to write their own names, all the letters of the alphabet, short words, then words dictated to them in short sentences." Another said, 96% of our students are reading at a first grade level by the time they enter kindergarten. Another said, "Our focus in preschool is learning our shapes, numbers, letters, sight words, and beginning reading skills." This website said the focus for 4-year-olds is getting ready for kindergarten. Throughout the year, we will learn the ABCs, sounds, rhyming, vocabulary, comprehension, beginning reading and handwriting, and we will also learn high-frequency sight words. The last one says, "Using phonics, we can effectively teach preschoolers to read. Our 3-year-old preschoolers read simple sentences, and our 4-year-olds read little books." Okay, so there's kind of a variety, but did you notice a pattern there? They all mention the academic skills. Now, I left out the part where they also mentioned play, because every one of them did mention play on their websites, but it was always at the end of a long list of academic skills that would be the primary focus in their program. And most mentioned it in a very passing manner, such as, "and there will be some time for free play." Now, when a parent is looking for a preschool program for their child, and this is the kind of information they read on every website they find, it's no wonder that they believe that children should be reading by the time they leave preschool. It's no wonder that they expect their child to be able to name every alphabet letter, say its sound, and write it well. And it's no wonder that when they come across a school that uses play as its primary curriculum, they second guess whether it's a quality program because the academics aren't the primary focus. More than once, I've received the comment, "So this is just a play school? I'm looking for a preschool for my child." Now, thankfully, I have also received, "This is exactly what I'm looking for," a lot more frequently, which makes me very grateful. For years, our education system has been on the track of teaching students more and more at younger and younger ages, disregarding the developmental needs of our children. One of the reasons that I was drawn to early childhood education when I was in college was because it still seemed relatively untouched by academic pushdown. But those days, unfortunately, are long gone. I don't live in a state where universal preschool has taken hold, and there is really very little regulation of preschool education. In spite of that, our state Board of Education has still issued learning standards for preschoolers, and I feel like they've actually done an overall good job of laying out appropriate skills for 3- and 4-year-old children to be learning. The challenge that they face is getting that information out to the people who are doing the educating. Since they have no actual jurisdiction over preschool education, that's a difficult task. Now, one would hope that preschool teachers would have received at least some level of early childhood education, whether through a college degree or some child development coursework, and that they have a background in developmentally appropriate practice. But that's not necessarily the case all the time. In some states, like my own, anybody can open a preschool with minimal child development experience, or none at all if they run a program that qualifies as exempt from licensing. Where I live, it's very common for preschool teachers to be individuals who hold degrees in elementary education. Often it's women who have made the choice to leave full-time teaching in order to be home with their own children, but they still want to make a little extra money, so they start an in-home preschool program. And while their intentions are good, and I honestly have no problem with that, there is a big difference in the way that we educate third graders and the way that we educate preschoolers. If that teacher is not engaging in continuing education and doesn't have a firm grasp on those differences, it can be very easy for them to fall into the pattern of teaching the same way that they would in an elementary school and just like dumbing it down for the preschoolers. When the person that parents view as the expert is engaging in developmentally inappropriate practices, we cannot fault the parent for seeking out those types of programs. And when parents are seeking out these types of programs, it makes sense that the program directors would want to deliver what the parents are seeking out. It's kind of this vicious cycle, and we, the educators, are the ones who are going to have to break that cycle. I'd like to offer a handful of suggestions for ways to help guide parents toward a developmentally appropriate viewpoint when it comes to the education of their young child. Helping them to get to that point can make a significant difference in what they come to expect out of a preschool program. The first point of contact that I typically have with parents is through my website, and that is where I have the first opportunity to sell my program. Right on the homepage, I highlight some of the most important benefits of play. Knowing that parents are likely coming from the perspective of academics, I also highlight how play enhances academic learning. I think that parents do realize that play is important for young children. They just don't always make the connection that play can be a highly effective vehicle for learning the academic skills that they are expecting from a preschool program. So if you have a website, utilize that as a hook that will pique the curiosity of parents. Now, once a parent registers their child for my program, I have lots of ways to deliver information. I communicate frequently with parents through text and email, and it is super simple to send a link to a YouTube video or a podcast that shares information about play. It can be something as simple as a text saying, "Hi parents, I just saw this excellent video about the benefits of block play. It's not very long, and I thought you might enjoy seeing all of the skills your child is learning when they engage in this type of play." In most cases, I will share this type of info when it's short and really easy to digest. I also utilize a monthly newsletter, and I always include a page or two on how play supports development. I realize that not every parent is going to take the time to read the information, but it's there for those who want it. I've received a decent amount of positive feedback from parents who have enjoyed this portion of the newsletter quite a bit. I think next year I'm even going to add a short reel on my Instagram page to highlight the information on my newsletter for those who prefer to get it in that format. My goal here is really to just make it easily accessible for parents. The less work they have to do, the more likely they are going to be to engage with that information. Articles can also be a really good way to share information about play with parents. It can sometimes be a challenge to find articles that are geared toward parents that offer solid research-based advice, but they are out there. I always try to make sure the articles I share are brief and free from too much educator jargon. Articles with practical tips that can be applied at home garner the most appreciation from parents. And I tend to utilize articles when I have a parent with a specific concern about their child, so these don't even have to be shared class-wide. One of my favorite ways to communicate information about play to parents is with pictures of their children learning in the classroom. I send out pictures to every parent once a week, and I try to capture parents that show specific skills during play. When parents see their child learning through play, it doesn't take much to sell them on a play philosophy. Pictures can also be turned into learning stories, which parents and children absolutely love. I think it is also important to have ongoing dialogue with parents about developmentally appropriate practice just in general. In previous programs I've worked in, preschool performances were a big deal. Often there would be a performance for every single holiday. And with every performance, there would be a child or two who refused to participate, resulting in a power struggle between parent and child that often ended with big bribes so that the child would get on stage and participate. While I understand from a parent's perspective how cute it is to watch your child perform, I became increasingly uncomfortable with the amount of stress that performances seem to put on my preschoolers. The feedback I've received from parents makes it clear that performances are important to them. So I've been left to juggle that expectation with what I believe is developmentally appropriate for my students. The solution that I've come up with that seems to be working well for me is first to cut back on the number of programs that we have during the year. We do one mid-year and one at the end of the year. And then second, I am very upfront with parents that we do programs for the growth of the child, not the entertainment of the parents. Prior to holding a program, I send information to the parents about respecting the way their child chooses to participate. Some may be perfectly comfortable performing in front of a group of strangers, and others might prefer to watch from the comfort of a parent's lap, and that's okay. I've found that when we take the pressure off for children to deliver a perfect performance, they will usually engage wonderfully on their own. Since opening my own program, I can't remember a time when a child was not inclined to perform with their classmates because they know that they have the autonomy to choose. I also like to involve the children in the planning of the program so that it isn't just a performance that I've created, but one that they have some ownership over as well. It's been an interesting experience learning the ropes of providing parents with education about what is developmentally appropriate during the preschool years. I haven't always had the ability to share information as freely as I can now, and I have loved seeing parents make shifts in their perspective about what and how their child is learning at school. It is incredibly fulfilling when the year-end parent feedback survey I send comes back with comments from parents expressing how amazed and how grateful they are for the experiences that their child is getting at school and all that they are learning through play. Thanks again for listening. Remember to hit that subscribe button to continue learning how to bring more play into your classroom. Plus, get more tips on Instagram at play_before_pencils or at playbeforepencils.com.